Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage our next speaker, Shane Quinnell.
Yeah.
Have you ever felt that you need to fight for every victory? As though happiness and contentment are unrealistic hippie ideals? I have, even though I am part hippie. We all have. Now it's hard for my A-type personality to accept, but I have found that the summits of personal satisfaction come not from fighting, but from flowing. They come from conscious choice to accept and embrace our situations. We need to glide in order to soar. Research confirms that gliding can make you soar. Mindfulness, which is based on the same premise, has shown significant and profound benefits, from increased cognitive function, better memory to stress reduction, and the list goes on. Ironically, I first learned to soar after nearly dying in a paragliding accident 2 weeks before my 26th birthday. I was flying in a straight line. The mountain range extended to the horizon. The world rounded off in front of me. When bang! An invisible dust devil, a small cyclone for those who don't know them, nodded my wing, and it sent me spiraling towards the ground, 150 meters below. Knowing that I was in serious trouble, I threw a parachute, but at the last second, a gust slungshot me 180 degrees straight into the cliff face. Seconds later, and I knew that my life had changed forever. I lay between two rocks, completely conscious that I was broken. An unimaginable discomfort radiated from my back so strongly that I hardly noticed my clearly smashed ankles, and every instinct in my body screamed, "Move!" But knowing that my back was likely broken, I fought that need to move with everything I had. I bit my hands, I pinched my face, I even hit my head on the rocks just to try and stop myself moving. The 1 hour that it took for the first person to arrive was the longest of my life. 2 a.m., 2 days later, my bed was wheeled back into ICU. And as we entered Dante's hell, we passed my anaesthetist. Good news. Your spinal cord is badly bruised, but it's intact. You should walk again. For the first time, I broke down completely. 2 weeks later, and clarity dawned. I was buggered. I couldn't roll over. I had to get suppositories just to poo all over myself, and it felt like lava flowed in my veins. Negative thoughts grew. You're going to be here a long, long time. You're not going to walk for months, and you will never run. Why me? I felt depression threaten. I looked out the window and I willed myself to stop. In that moment, I realized that I had a choice. I could choose to fight and allow myself to sink into negativity spiral, or I could choose to glide from that place and to try to find thermals on the other side on which to soar. Flying had given me experiences that 1 in a million people will have, and I did not regret it. I chose to glide. I chose to soar. I chose to glide over the sink and find the currents on which to soar to new heights of personal satisfaction. Gliding soon became my way of soaring. Shortly thereafter, I designed an engagement ring for my girlfriend, who had been with me of every day of the ordeal. I learnt new skills and I began planning an African expedition which I had thought about for 5 years. Uncertainty, anger affected me during my time in hospital, but it never overcame me. I chose not to let it. Gliding soon became that way of soaring. When a few days later, I chose to quit my stagnant job in Cape Town and move to a job in Joburg, which offered growth. When a few months later we got retrenched, I chose to glide from that place and go on a mountain bikepacking mission in Lesotho, despite having just relearned to walk. We then glided through financial uncertainty and bought the world's smallest 4x4 with which we would travel Africa. We glided through 9 months and 25,000 uncomfortable African kilometers to climb the 5 highest mountains in Africa. I am not special. I am human and I am far from perfect. Just ask my wife. And even although I know that the summits of personal satisfaction can only be reached through gliding, I often fight. When I do, I try to remind myself that in every moment, we can glide through them. So today I challenge you. Will you glide? Will you find your personal satisfaction? Will you glide in order to soar?
That was really, really, really good. You have what we call a tier 1 story, which basically means that, you master this, you could really, really be in that inspirational category, closing keynote speaker. There's another guy out there that has a similar story to you. There's a couple of guys, and I've seen them close, the Google conference. I've seen them close, some of the biggest conferences in the world. And you know what's really, really interesting? You are just as good, if not better, than these other speakers that I've seen. You're an amazing speaker. I can really see you go to the heights of the international professional speaking circuit. You're amazing up on stage, absolutely brilliant. And what an amazing adventurer you are. And you are certainly, the true meaning of the word. We hear other people, sort of do half of what you do. But, I can really, really can see that more and more people are going to be inspired through, your urge and this longing and this craving that you have to really, challenge your body and your adventurous spirit. And that's an inspiring, you're an inspiring guy on so many levels. I can see big things for you. Let's give him a hand. Seriously, bro. I'm being serious. That was awesome. Really, really good. Come on. Have a conversation with the person next to you.